to welcome all delegates new and experienced to the 2015 AGM, and of course this will be my last AGM, not just as President, but I'll also be finished as, well, I won't be a delegate anymore anyway. I'm certainly getting a bit old for that now, and so that's that. I certainly know Pat and Jill over there will be really pleased to see me go, because I've spent the last few years, well, a long time, wondering what the hell I'm talking about, and they're Northerners, so they'll be really pleased to see me go. But I've always said I'm going in the union after the terrible events of the last year, both in my own life and in the trade union's life. We're in a good place now, there's no doubt about it. We're settled, the elections are over, we're all friends again, aren't we? Yes. I told you before, you don't have to like somebody to work with them, but please, you know, bear that in mind. History will judge what I've done, and I know people make comments about me. I may not be the best president ever, but I'm certainly the smallest. And one thing I'm absolutely sure of, I'm the most miserable git who's ever been president in the history. When I talk about movement, I'm really proud. I mean, it's Father's Day, which is a load of bollocks, and if anybody else swears this week, I will fine you. I don't believe in Father's Day, but my youngest son is here, probably because my oldest son was in Bristol last year, said it was great when our dad fell off the stage and much good to watch him. I'm not going to embarrass him because he sat over the back there caring. And I'm really proud of him because he is now a shop steward. So my parents were shop stewards in various ways, my grandparents were, and now my son's a shop steward, and that's how it should be. It's not about individuals, it's about a movement. And he's doing pretty good. He's quite mouthy. I have no idea where he gets that from. His mother is 70 years me, but I wish him all the best as well. Now I'm going to abuse my position for a few. I'm not doing for time, General Secretary. All right. I am going to ramble on because I do want to thank people for the support and friendship they're giving me. You're looking worried, Brother Carey. You should be. During my years of presidency, which have been a bit difficult at times, and. It's fitting that I'm here this week with the delegates because traditionally, sort of tradition is a fact, the only people that the President has to answer to is the AGM. But the AGM delegates have spent, obviously want me to help them because I know like Michelle Sauce and Pat brought me someone, all the delegates have been slithering, and I've also been given a dummy. Which I really think you should have, but anyway, but it really has a pleasure and an honour over the years to work on your behalf. And how I've got through it is I've always remembered exactly who I am and where I came from and what I believe in. And I always think if people are true to their beliefs, whether other people like them or not, you don't be dishonest when you're doing okay. And I'm really, in reality, as it should be in our great trade union tradition with presidents, I am Peter Pinkney Sigler from Middlesbrough. And as long as, whenever you get elevated to positions that are lay positions and members of the executive sector, and remember that you'll be doing all right. It's different for officers, you know, I'm not condemning them, that's their role, it's a different role. But every one of us, on the executive, myself included, will go back to work, will work the conditions they've agreed, and that's how it should be. And I think we're unique in that, and long may continue. And there's no way I don't want the row now, but the row will be later about the restructuring of the union, that the President remains and the full-time executive remains, and I think I personally should that's quite nice. People are making comments about me being back in my hometown, and it seems like yesterday that I had my first organisation subcommittee to pick where the 2015 AGM would be. And Bob Crow said to me, well, I think we should have it in Peter's hometown since it will be his final one. Newcastle is not my hometown. I am not a Geordie, I am not a Mackham, and I am not, Brother Carey, a monkey hanger. I am a snub. We are from Middlesbrough, which is a much nicer place than this. I've enjoyed my time, as I said, but it's been very difficult. And a lot of it, the way I got through it, was the help of head office staff and regional staff. And everyone in our union, if any of you bother to read my column that's in the RMT News, now and again I say something interesting, and my latest one is thanking the staff and explaining how difficult it is to run the union day to day, but the AGM is especially difficult. And everybody in our union has a role to play, from the cleaners at head office who keep the place clean, to Joe and Terry, and all the people who work in the post room. Of course, you know, Joe has always got a smiley face and a welcome for everyone when they come in, and I'm sure Joe will forgive me for that. And Adrian Scott, a good friend of mine, the personal secretary, general secretary, and most importantly for Adrian Scott, he has the role to play in my very rare trips abroad. He organises everything, so he's a good friend of mine. I'd like to thank him for all the years he's helped me as well. And also to Nancy on reception, because I think, I told Nancy to watch this if it's recorded, because I think it's important that people appreciate Nancy as well. Yeah. Because it was a terrible... I'm actually glad she's not here, because she'd be supremely embarrassed. But in the really bad times last year, Nancy is always pleasant, always smiling, always says good morning. No matter how down you feel, it lifts you a little bit. So, you know, all these people have an important role to play. I'll not thank every single member, but I won't beg your indulgence and thank head office staff by thanking the heads of departments. For Jeff Martin from the press and publicity, James Cloyd, who's had a particularly difficult year with the general election, and despite what I said earlier, the lovely Vicky Thompson now, who recently got married to the lovely George, and all the hard work the finance do, and that's been difficult, especially, as you will be finding out later on, we've had tax people crawling all over us, etc. So they've had a really difficult year as well. To Mark Ling especially as well for membership, and I know people complain about membership, but it's been really difficult this year because we have had a lack of staff numbers for various reasons, and he has a difficult job to do. And Scott Perkins, I don't know where he's disappeared to, who works above and beyond the call of duty in Constitution. And I've worked very closely with Scott, and he's helped me enormously in terms of rules, etc. So when I get it right, it's my doing. When I get it wrong, it's Scott's doing. So I don't know where Scott is, but he really does work hard. And finally, on head office staff is Mr. Carey, who has stood there terrified of what I'm going to say, because we've had a friendly rivalry at AGMs over the years, where as a delegate and as president, he certainly slips me things with abusive comments on it, and I wouldn't dare let you see them. But I want to pay tribute to Kevin especially, because when I was on the executive, and the executive is a very difficult position, so you don't get any training for it, you just turn up and Bob, or no, Nick will say to you, right, you're in the board and this is it, bang. Kevin helped me then, absolutely beyond what I can describe. He helped me, he showed me, because I was in the Northern Sub, and the late Arthur Grundy was very ill, and Jim Gray was away, so I was on my own. I had nobody to show what to do. And Kevin came in and helped me a lot, and over the years he's continued to do that. And I'll continue to take the piss out of him, but I love him to bits, and I want to thank you, especially Kevin, for all the help. You and Pete Waters, wherever he is, of all three of us were supposed to have our last year together, because it's Kevin's last year and Peter's as well. But unfortunately, Peter jumped the gun a bit early, so it's just two musketeers now come there. But thanks very much, Kevin. And I don't want to forget the ROs, or Alan Pottage and the four secretaries. And here's a thought, I wrote it down, Mick, Steve and Steve. So any of you out there who have any idea that you might in the future want to run for national office, if you ain't called Mick or Steve, you haven't. I am going to get serious in a minute, don't worry, I'll do my rabble-rouse and shit later on. Especially the band today were absolutely brilliant. I don't know where Scott was. Paul was here, and they were magnificent. And there's a lot of trade unions really jealous of that band when they see us marching with them. And myself and the General Secretary earlier this year went to watch them play an anniversary concert in Durham, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I hope I can be there next year, even though I won't be president anymore, because that was one of the most moving nights of our lives. It was absolutely fantastic, and we should be proud of it. My final thanks which will embarrass him because it's his birthday today as well, to Jeff Rebel. Jeff has been a great friend to me, and I spent 2 years sharing a flat with him in London when he was first elected, and his advice and guidance were really important to me, and he explained things, how they come about, because he's got a vast knowledge of this union, how things came to be, how the rule book, how it is, how people change things, the role of the president historically, etc., etc. And I know the rank and file members and activists who go to Doncaster really enjoy his sessions, and I want to place on record my great thanks to him, and I hope he has many more years of this union advising and passing on his great knowledge and historical knowledge of not just this union, but trade unionism and socialism and politics in general. And I'd like to say once again, thank you, Jeff. I better get the Oscar, the serious stuff, because I do sound like I'm giving an Oscar speech, and some people have said the last 3 years I deserve one for acting as a president of the RMT. This is a poignant year, because it's been mentioned already, and no doubt been mentioned several times this week. It's 100 years since we had women members. They came into being in 1915, obviously during the war, when men were away fighting or involved in war work. But people should not forget, and I know this because I looked it up a couple of years ago because of the course I was helping out with at Doncaster about the history of the union. They were only temporary members in 1915. I might get the colour wrong, but the names were written in the membership list as blue because apparently as soon as the men came back, they were going to be gone. Well, they weren't gone, they're still here. We've moved on a lot. We're not far enough for sure, because I noticed on the young members course there's no females, and although the ratio of female delegates here to what it was maybe 20 years ago, when I can remember Glenn Burroughs being the only one at Glasgow, is a lot better, but we still have a lot of work to do on behalf of all minorities, whether it be LGBT or black and ethnic or disabled or whatever. We should represent them all the same. We're all together, we all have the same back. We just had a general election that Beth touched on, which I may have played a part in, which is the worst election result you can imagine. All our predictions were wrong. We were expecting a hung parliament of some sort where we'd have to be doing deals, etc., etc. We've got, in my opinion, the worst, and I include Margaret Thatcher about that and explain why, the worst Conservative government we've ever had. Under Margaret Thatcher, it was possible for individuals to better themselves. That was the whole idea. You could buy a council house, you could be working class and make it up. Don't get me wrong, she was the scum of the earth. This lot are different. This lot is the old establishment, the old Etonians, the old Arovians, the old Oxbridge people, the old aristocracy, if you like. And they hate the working class. They despise us. And they will not do anything whatsoever to help any of us. They will treat us, and I do not exaggerate, as slaves and people to be shoved around. We've seen the start of it in the Queen's speech. More stringent anti-trade union laws, if that was possible. Further attacks on benefits in the NHS, and more austerity for the poorer members of society. You can bet your life one thing's for sure. It won't be any of the rich in this country who's suffering. It will be you, your comrades, and people worse off. And we need to do something about this, comrades. Before the election, we were hoping Labour would win. And I've got plenty of problems with the Labour Party. But I also have a lot of admiration for members of the Labour Party. Members who've helped us, like you'll see this week, John McDonnell. And of course, Jeremy Corbyn. But will there be enough to change that party and put it back to where it was in 1945? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because you can forget that party. This party now is frightened, up in the election, was frightened to criticise the media, frightened to criticise the bosses, frightened to criticise the rich. In fact, Tristram Hunt said, "We are friends with business people." Why are they frightened? They are the enemy, and we should be proud to fight them and discuss them and annoy them. That is why we exist. And the sooner the Labour Party remember that and where they come from, the better. I'm going to be really critical here of some of our members as well. Some of our members voted UKIP. Some of our members have stood in the past as councillors for UKIP. I have been asked time and time again, I'm sure the General Secretary has, why we don't expel them. Well, it's difficult to prove they're a fascist party. We have expelled with a great deal of difficulty, some of you remember a few years ago, a member for being a member of, well, it was the BNP, and then he broke off and it was called the Third Way. And it was very, very difficult. And we only managed to get away with it because he registered, joined our union under a false name, under his wife's name. So it's very difficult to get rid of these people. But make no mistake, they are no friends of yours. They are right-wing Tories. I would hesitate to call them fascists, but they're pretty close to it, and have got lots of fascist, ex-fascist members amongst them. And take the racism aside. I'll go back to that later. I'll tell you what they would do, and they said it on the telly again and again. They would get rid of the NHS. They would have you like America, where you've got to take out insurance for it. You've got no insurance because you can't afford it. You just lay in the street and die or suffer. That's what they'll do. They will make the worst anti-trade union laws ever. I wouldn't bang on it and possibly ban trade unions altogether if they could get away with it. They would privatise everything. They would cut taxes to a minimum for the rich. And yet again, they blame the same people. They blame the Irish years ago, and Bob used to say, they blame Afro-Caribbeans, they blame Africans, they blame Jews. They blame any damn person themselves they can do. When I was in Romania last year, I was also in Sofia in Bulgaria, and I spoke at them, and I said, I'm amazed that the place is full of Bulgarians or Romanians, because our right-wing press and UKIP are saying you're all over in our country scrounging. Absolutely disgraceful. These people are the same as us, comrades. They have the same problems, and the reason they come over here is because they're paid badly in their country and they come here to get better wages. The same as British people did in the 70s by going to Germany or Saudi Arabia, etc. We need to remember, comrades, the enemy isn't workers across the world. And I get angry when I hear my members and our members saying that. Our enemies is a capitalist system and the people who divide us with this racist crap to come out with. And we need to do something about it. We need, on the left, to stop criticising each other. Not once did I hear certain left-wing parties during this election criticise UKIP, criticise the Tories. They were too busy listening to what Marx says. That does not put food on people's tables, does not give them houses, does not give them sickness care, and does not give them free time and jobs. None of that. And I don't care what people think about me. I started my term as president in Brighton, and I called for unity. Unity amongst ourselves on the left, because it's the only way we're going to go forward. Because as long as we squabble, we're doing what they want. I've seen things that have made me proud in the last couple of years. Bianca Todd, the granddaughter of the great Ron Todd, she goes out with her family and takes people off the streets and puts them up in their own house to help them till they get themselves back on their feet. My son, last year in Bristol, showed me a place where they sell coffee and household goods and food for whatever you can afford. They do that by going round every night to the supermarkets and shaming them into not throwing away perfectly good food. And the third one is a woman I met during the election campaign. She's a member of Labour, a Labour councillor, and she ran a community centre on her own, all by herself with just donations. And a lot of what she did was voluntary, and most of her work, and I was shocked about this, was helping people to read and write, to fill in application forms for jobs. We are supposed to be one of the leading nations of the world, and there is people who can't read and write, and that shocked me. And then you watch programmes like The Secret History of Streets, if anybody's seen it, and you have an obscenity on there of a young married couple living in Notting Hill in Portland Street. £3 million they paid for that house, and they weren't happy with it. It had about 7 bedrooms, and they said that they wanted a bigger one, so they were going to move up the road where it was £5 million to £7 million to buy. These people are living in houses like that, if they ever live in them, while we go into London and all the big cities in this country and see people sleeping in gutters. That is an absolute outrage. I'm going to finish now, comrades. Che Guevara once said, and I'm often quoting him, but this is a good one: only those that dream will see those dreams convert to reality. Well, comrades, we are dreaming, and if the politicians won't do it, then we should lead the charge against these people and make them dreams reality. Thank you.